every one of these 91 counts, they're not 91 counts. They're not legit. They're Biden counts. He worked with Fani, even though it's spelled Fanny, F-A-N-I, Fani. How about that one? How about that one with her lover? Nathan Wade, her lover. Let's go get Trump. Because if they go after Trump, they can pay him more money. And then she can take beautiful trips on the sea, beautiful trips to foreign islands. Her and her lover, they have such a good time. The guy got paid almost $1 million, and he never did it before. But he did the other thing before that he did with Fani. He did plenty of that. That's what he's good at, I guess. And it's no wonder Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us, because they know that we are the only ones who can stop them. We will stop them. They are bad people. They use weaponization of Justice Department. Let's go after my political opponent because I can't speak. I can't communicate. I can't debate. I can't stand in a location that they tell me. I keep falling down when I walk up a flight of stairs. That's why they're weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference, where Joe Biden goes after his political opponent. He should drop all charges against me. You know, every one of these 91 counts, they're not 91 counts. They're not legit. They're Biden counts. He worked with Fani, even though it's spelled Fanny, F-A-N-I, Fani. How about that one? How about that one with her lover? Nathan Wade, her lover. Let's go get Trump. Because if they go after Trump, they can pay him more money. And then she can take beautiful trips on the sea, beautiful trips to foreign islands. Her and her lover, they have such a good time. The guy got paid almost $1 million, and he never did it before. But he did the other thing before that he did with Fani. He did plenty of that. That's what he's good at, I guess. And this was before, long before, so they cooked up these charges early. They said, let's get a high-level individual so we can charge the state more money. That's what happened. Oh, and then when they get caught, she said, oh, well, I paid him back. Oh, how? In cash. I gave him cash. Really? She didn't give him cash. By the way, if she gave him cash, that's even worse, because where the hell did she get the cash, right? I paid her back, because if she didn't pay him back, she committed a big crime, because she got money that she gave through the state. So she said she paid him back. She didn't do it. That charge should be dropped. They should all be dropped. And they worked closely with the Department of Justice. You know, he went there for 2 8-hour visits and then numerous other visits. But he was there, in there, all day long in the White House Counsel. This was a scheme of the White House. The Manhattan DA, he took his number one guy, and put him into the Manhattan DA's office. Does Matt Gaetz know that? He put his number one guy into the Manhattan DA's office. That's not the Manhattan DA. That's all being run by the Department of Justice for election interference. Knock out your political opponent. It ain't working. The one thing they didn't know is the people of our country hear about it from me. Most people don't talk about it. When this happens to most people, these kind of things, if they're politicians, they walk up to a microphone and they say, ladies and gentlemen, I will fight for my name and reputation, but right now I'm going back to my family, and you never hear it. With me, we don't do that. We tell you what it's all about. And our poll numbers have skyrocketed. I never heard about being indicted before. Being indicted, me? I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I was really good. I did all these things, then they indicted. And it was all like in this little short period of time. I got indicted over a tiny little period of time in my life, tiny little period, 4 times. That's more than Al Capone. That's more than Alphonse. Did you know who Alphonse Capone is? He was the meanest guy. He was a very volatile mobster in Chicago, affectionately known as Scarface. He was a very nice man. He was known. If he didn't like you at dinner, if he thought you were smiling in a mocking way, you were dead. He got indicted less than I did. He killed lots of people. He killed them just for sport. No, but the people understand it because I can talk about it. I have a voice. I can talk about it. We had a thing in Washington, deranged Jack Smith. He's a prosecutor. He's a deranged human being. He has a huge record of failure because he goes so far out and people end up not being convicted. He goes too far. He's a man, he's just a terrible human being. But he's a deranged person who wants to hurt people. And we're hurting him. I'll tell you, we're hurting him. He stinks. That's not the kind of people. You know, being a prosecutor is a very important thing. Being a fair and good prosecutor is a very important thing. But some of these animals, I mean, they are bad. But what they've done is, it's all coming out of crooked Joe Biden because, look, he can't campaign. He can't campaign. He can't speak. He can't walk. He looks like hell. And I will say this, before my indictments, I talked much differently about him. They know, front row Joes know, right? A big change in course. I used to, you know, I had respect for the office of the president. And if you listen to MSDNC and CNN, they're all getting no ratings now, which is great. But if you listen to them, and if you go back a year, they were all saying, well, no, you can never indict Trump on this. They indicted me. You could never indict him on January 6th. They indicted me. You could never indict him on the document hoax. I come under the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to do all of that. I'm allowed to do whatever I want. New York Times did a story. Please, 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 Mr. President, please, could we have our boxes? And if the president says no, he doesn't have to give them. But think of this. Think of this. Joe Biden was totally exonerated last week. He's got 10 times the documents, and they're classified. And he's not under the presidential, and they exonerated him. Of course, they said he was grossly incompetent, but we don't have to get into that. But that'll come up, you watch. But we'll be in very good shape. So a man who totally violated every law in the book on classified documents, who had many of the documents stored in Chinatown. And by the way, did you see those boxes? Those boxes were seriously used. They were used. Those boxes, they had a lot of stuff taken out. They weren't just boxes, Matt. Those boxes had stuff coming in and out. Where's Hunter? Where is he? Where's Hunter? No, they had stuff coming in and out, and they were stored in Chinatown. They also had him under his beautiful Corvette. The Corvette was dumping grease all over him. They were in the garage. You know, it's one of those doors that costs very little money that you can take a scissor and cut. Whereas mine were at the Great Mar-a-Lago. I had Secret Service all over the place. I had a locked door. You know, they asked me, could I put another lock? We showed them. I said, here's where they're stored. Take a look. They looked. They said, could you put an extra? We had a good lock there. We had Secret Service. They said, could you put an extra lock in? And I said, sure, put an extra lock. They wrote me a letter. Thank you very much. Put an extra lock. And then they raided Mar-a-Lago after that. These are bad people. These are bad people. And you're not allowed to do that according to the Fourth Amendment. You can't do that. All of this is only happening because I'm running for president and we're leading in the polls. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having any of this. We wouldn't be having any of this.